Welcome to the Jeremy and Andy Talk Movies podcast. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Andy.
And Andy, you know what? I don't have any clever intros this week.
Man, I love your
It
clever
just,
intro.
I, I thought about it and I was like, it's not really deserved. I thought if anything was appropriate for this one, maybe I would just throw into Chat GPT and say, give me a generic podcast intro because I think that would be appropriate for our discussion today.
It kind of would.
So today, we're actually we didn't. You did. You got to the theaters and you saw a new movie this weekend, and good for you. Mine was a little bit of a busy weekend, and I didn't have time to get to the movies. And I'll be 100% honest. If it was a movie I was more interested in, I probably would have found a way, but it was a movie Undertone, and I'm not saying I don't want to see it ever, but I just in a busy weekend I didn't put aside the time to go see it.
Totally fair.
But maybe we'll get to that eventually. And I reached out to you and said, hey, there's a new movie on Netflix that I'm seeing a lot of buzz about on social media. I didn't say that part, but I just asked if you've seen War Machine. You said you'd watch it, and so that's what we're going to talk about. We're talking about War Machine on Netflix. And just right out of the gate, I got to say this. In 2000, I'm trying to remember now, 2018 or something like that, Netflix had an original movie called War Machine. It starred Brad Pitt. It was this kind of weird, quirky military movie where it was like a study of a strange military character. But in any case, when I heard Netflix movie War Machine, I was like, the movie that came out like just a few years ago, of course, like 7 years ago now, but I can't believe they've already got another Netflix movie called War Machine. I don't know.
It's crazy, especially, and I mean, this doesn't even give anything away how I feel about this movie. Like, there's 175 other titles you could have used for this movie.
Yes, you could have. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give a brief summary of this movie, and then we'll jump into it, into our feelings about it. So after witnessing his whole squad, including his brother, get killed in combat, our protagonist continues to pursue his brother's dream of becoming a ranger. But during their final test, the group of ranger cadets encounter a new enemy more dangerous than anything they've seen before and must find a way to survive. Andy.
Yeah.
Was War Machine good?
No. But not because it's so bad, just because you said it at the beginning, it's just so generic. However, I will say I did not mind watching this movie. Like, I don't want this to be one of those episodes where it sounds like I'm saying two completely different things, because there is just nothing original at all about this movie. But it's just such a easy to follow generic formula that it was just almost kind of like we always say on here, kind of like just eating a slice of pizza. Wasn't really good pizza, but it was pizza, and kind of knew what I was going to get when I took my bite. So this is not going to be on my worst of the year or anything like that.
No, I think you're right. What it did is it really feels like, I mean, like, I would be shocked if this wasn't what happened. Not literally, because they would, first off, never admit it if it was, and I don't think studios are quite stooping this low, but it feels like they just took several popular movies and threw them into an AI and said, make me a stew that mixes all of these. Throw in Predator, throw in a little bit of Transformers, a little of the visual from Tron Ares, like throw in, just a couple of generic things like that, and just make me something that's a sort of mix of all of them. And that's what this movie is. This movie is a weird mix of a lot of things that we've seen before. Zero original ideas in this movie.
None. But it does do the thing where, like, it populates the movie, like Dennis Quaid and my guy, I think I'm saying this right, S.I. Morales, the villain from the last couple
from the latest Mission Impossible. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, so it's cool to see those guys pop up. And our guy, our main guy, like, he looks the part. Like, this is a big, jacked dude who should be doing these kind of parts, frankly.
Yeah, Alan Ritchson is a good heir apparent to the Arnold Stallone school of action hero.
Yeah, if anything came out of this movie, I was like, oh, you know what? Like, I'm just I'm not down on this guy at all. But, like, I don't watch Reacher or Jack Reacher or whatever it is that he is in, and, like, I just haven't seen him in much other than, like, social media clips of his action stuff that he's done. And I'm like, you know what? This guy 100% looks the part. I'm not going to say this is a good performance necessarily, but he's not stinking up the room or anything. Like, wouldn't mind to see this guy do some like a better, more original action movie.
This guy is kind of doing um, what I would call the reverse John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
So John Cena, when they first tried to make John Cena in movies, he was doing like too serious of action movies, and they were kind of like cheesy B action movies, and like nobody cared, and nobody was like, "Oh, John Cena's gonna be a star." And then at some point they realized, "Hey, John Cena can actually be really funny." And
Mm-hmm.
once they started really leaning into how funny he is, he became a big star. Alan Richson started off doing really goofy, funny comedy stuff. It's not even necessarily stuff that I really like. He was in a show called Blue Mountain State, which was this like JUCO football kind of crass teen show, and yeah, he was doing fun. He has a great guest episode in the show New Girl that is hilarious, and he's so funny. But he didn't blow up until he started doing like B-level action stuff that was frankly like not showing any of his charm or any of his acting ability. Like, and it's just kind of funny to me. Like, I watch Reacher. Reacher's kind of a fun show, but like, man, he's very one note. They're like, hey, just be stoic and like tough all the time. Same for this movie. Just be, like very unemotional and grizzled the whole time. He was in the movie. What was the Guy Ritchie action movie with Henry Cavill last year? The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare,
Yes.
or 2 years ago, whenever it came out.
Yeah.
And he actually got to have some personality in that. And I was like, this guy should be a star. And I don't know why they want him to be more Arnold in like early Arnold, Conan and Terminator Arnold, rather than later, hey, Arnold can actually be funny and deliver lines, Arnold.
Yeah, those are all great points, and it does feel like, I mean, I bet you eventually they will find that mix for this guy, because I mean, like they seem to, like he's getting parts and stuff, and I think he'll get there eventually. Like the reverse Cena will pay off for him, I think eventually.
I certainly hope so, because I really do. I feel like I feel about him the same way that we've talked forever about The Rock. Like, this guy's got talent. He just needs a role that kind of lets him show, that showcases his best stuff. But hopefully with Richardson, it's not like The Rock where when he finally does it, nobody sees the movie.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Yeah, I'd like to think that role is out there for him somewhere, because like I said, he's he's not going to be on my 2026 this guy got screwed at the Oscars list, but he's doing what he needs to do in this movie. And like you're doing these montages of the training and weeding out all the guys and stuff and the girls. It's like you need to look the part for that. Or when this guy's like walking at the bottom of a pool holding really heavy weights, you want to believe that the guy can actually do it, and he certainly fits the bill. I mean, this dude looks like a superhero.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the movie itself. The one thing that I always say I will credit and appreciate Netflix movies for is you never have things ruined by previews because they
No.
don't advertise. So you go in cold to movies and it's cool. But this is an example of a movie where I went in cold. I had no idea what it was about. I'd seen the title, I'd seen who's in it, and that's it. Literally didn't know anything else. And it takes a little while before you figure out what movie you're in. In fact, when it happens, it feels like a sharp left turn. And I was watching this movie with my brother, and sorry, this is something you just have to spoil to talk about this movie. It ends up being in like alien invasion movie, and it's like when it starts to reveal itself, my brother just goes, "Is this an alien movie? Is this seriously what's happening? This is an alien movie?" And I was kind of laughed. I said, I know sci-fi's not your favorite. I can still be good. And he goes, no. He goes, I can enjoy it. He goes, I just need to be prepared for it. And nothing early in this movie prepares you for the fact that this is going to turn into a sci-fi movie. I mean, it's a good, 30 minutes into the movie, and you have no hint other than like some weird talk about asteroids in the sky on like news position. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's what that was. This is preparing me for this is aliens.
Yeah, it may even be a little bit longer than 30 minutes. I don't know exactly, but yeah. And then when you look, because I'm in the exact same boat. I mean, when you texted me, I was like, okay, I'll look up the movie, that he's talking about. No idea at all. And now that once you know, it kind of makes it funny to look back and how they just shoehorn in that news reel. It's like asteroid headed towards Earth, and it's like they don't get a whole lot of points for originality for their setup there. But I don't know. I guess I kind of do like this. I really have no idea what I'm getting ready to watch. I agree with your brother. Like, hey, I need to like readjust my brain because now all of a sudden this is, like you said, this weird mashup of like Transformers and Predator. Um, but how many times have we sat here and complained about how much a trailer gave away? So I think I'll take this.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, like I said, this is the one thing I give Netflix props for is you get to be surprised by their movies.
Yeah.
Um, Now, that said, um, I keep going back and forth on is the villain in this movie, which is basically just like a robot, like a killer robot thing. And my brother compared it to like the things in Star Wars, the two-legged walking things in Star Wars, because that's kind of what it is. A
Yeah.
little less clumsy. That just kind of does the Predator like scan thing and
Yeah.
then shoots at people. It's very Predator coded. Let's just put it out there. Like, I mean, from the fact
Oh,
that Alan Ritchson's being basically Arnold, I mean, like everything about it, literally everything about it is very Predator coded. And to the point where we were both kind of cheering and laughing, going, "At what point does he get covered in mud and realize the machine can't recognize him?" And there's a point where he's dragging the one guy up a muddy hill and he's getting covered in mud. And we're like, "It's happening! He's gonna get covered in mud, and the thing's not gonna see him." It didn't quite happen like that, but we were literally like, "Just let's hit all the beats of Predator" because it felt so much like it.
yeah. You're almost waiting for your guy to throw out a get to the chopper line, Arnold style. Oh yeah. I mean, and yeah, it's a Predator ripoff. Like, let's just say it. But yeah, the choice to have the thing, the villain as it is, be this robot thing is a weird choice. Like, I guess we probably could have complained even harder that it was a Predator ripoff if it was an alien. But at that point, to me, it almost just feels like, I mean, like an alien along the lines of like the Predator instead of a robot thing. But I mean, honestly, if you're going for the Predator ripoff, just go for it. Maybe I don't know. I that's my big hang up with this movie is just trying to figure out where I land on this thing that's killing them.
Yeah, there's several things that it falls way short of Predator on, which I mean,
Oh
come
yeah.
on, Predator's like the gold standard. So I don't really even mean this as a terrible insult, but it's just when you can't help but make the comparison, you sit there and think, here's some of the differences. One is Predator did a great job of building out the team around Arnold and
Yeah.
this like very distinct group of characters that are each kind of awesome in their own way. And as the Predator's picking them off, you're like, oh man, that guy and that guy. This movie, I mean, like by the just as you're starting to even know who some of these characters are, we're
They're,
done with them. So like,
they're
but I
gone.
was never like, oh, that character's cool. I'm glad to have that character in this movie. It's more just like very token. Oh, we got the jokester. Oh, we've got the girl who's a ranger. Oh, we've got the whatever. It just really didn't do anything to make the other characters stand out at all.
No, you're never like, oh no, number 14 just got wiped out. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
and they literally do just go by numbers. That's and which is I mean probably a real ranger school thing that they just give you a number and make you go by that. But yeah, it's just I don't know.
It's pretty easy to just make the joke of like that just shows how disposable these characters are that they're just assigned numbers.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it kind of feels like they didn't really know what they were doing with the story because at first Alan Richardson's character is very like anti-connecting with the group. He's
Hmm.
there because he lost his team and his brother, and so he is emotionally closed off and he does not want to connect. But as they're going through this, he starts to more and more like show care for them and start like connecting with them as they're trying to survive through this. And you're like, oh, that's cool. He's gonna figure out like he needs people. But it's like just as that happens, they all get wiped out
They're all
and
gone.
they're
Yeah.
gone. And so it's like, oh, I guess that's not really like what we were going for here was him learning to lead the team. It's like he's just back on his own. So
Yep, exactly. I mean, it's just kind of like one step forward, one step backward as far as like plot and character development go. And you're just like, all right, never mind. I thought maybe like you said, like I thought we were doing the thing where he learns to open up and trust again, and now we're just right back to him being by himself again.
yep. Uh, so there's some of the action sequences are pretty cool. I think
Yeah,
that's just kind of goes back to we've talked about it, like what people can do with filmmaking is so impressive these days.
yeah,
I don't, and sometimes we say it's a bad thing because they can do anything, but sometimes it's cool because in a generic movie like this that is a B movie, which back in the day, if it's a B action movie, you're just not going to see very cool stuff. You're going to see the limits of the budget.
right.
But in this one, I think of specifically the scene where they're in like a military truck trying to outrun the machine and they're shooting and the camera's doing some cool stuff
That's
and
cool.
it's making it look fast paced with explosives. Guys are like hanging out the side shooting and stuff like that. It's like, okay, there's some craft here that B movies used to not be able to pull off.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do a B movie, this is the era to do it, and especially if Netflix is gonna fund it. I mean, like you said, I mean, there's no longer that distinct difference between a like a Predator or the numerous Predator ripoffs that came after it. There was a very clear line, that separated those two back in the day, and now yeah, these B movies have all the budget and special effects and everything of an A movie. So I guess if they're going to exist, you're at least going to hope that you do get some cool action sequences. And I had the exact same thought as you about that scene. Like, oh, that was cool. I liked it. Two thumbs up for that section of the movie from me.
Yeah, granted, as I'm talking, I look up the budget and it's $80 million, and I'm like, well, maybe I shouldn't call it a B movie because that's, pretty close to A movie budget, but still, I mean, I think we know what we're saying. I don't think they thought they were making groundbreaking
Right.
action here.
It's a B movie
yeah.
plot.
Right. Exactly. There's definitely some. I mean, there would be in any of these movies, there's a lot of suspension of belief in some of these action sequences. Particularly in that chase, because they made that military vehicle pretty indestructible
Sure.
until they were done with the action scene. But other than that, and honestly, like I thought they were at least pretty consistent with this thing just feeling unstoppable every
Yeah.
time they encountered it. There was people who couldn't get away. Probably the only moment that I watched that I rolled my eyes and said, "Well, the characters are just being dumb now." Is there's one scene where they're hiding against a cliff and the machine is looking down and scanning. And the one guy, the injured guy's foot is sticking out. And as it slowly scans, it catches his foot and goes back. And you're like, okay, so none of y'all saw the giant blue like ray going across and scanning and thought, oh, it's really going to hit his foot. We should pull it back. But,
Yeah.
You're always going to have those moments in these movies.
You are.
So this, this is probably going to be a quicker conversation because I don't really want to go through beat by beat because it really, once it turns into an action movie, it's just action set piece, action set piece, action set piece, and we don't need to break them all down. But one thing I will say is we talk about just cool little touches, just throw a couple cool touches in there. And one thing I always love is there's some sort of giveaway to the villains getting close. And then this one is every time the machine gets close, their compasses go crazy and spin around. So,
Yeah.
and they figured out like, hey, just keep an eye on the compass. And if you see it spinning, it's, oh crap, he's here and we got to take off. And
Yep, I like
yeah,
it.
that's a good little touch.
It was. I'm exactly like you. I always just appreciate those little, we've talked about it on here a lot of times. Sometimes it's just a little flourish or just a little extra that you could do like that. And then it just makes for, I don't this movie doesn't utilize it great, but it's always gives us just some good suspense. Someone looks over and the compass starts turning. You're like, oh, here we go. So yeah, that was good stuff. I did like that.
Yeah, even when you see it coming. So there's the one scene where they're trying to cross the river and get the guy across on a rope, and Alan Ritchson pins the compass to a tree, a little thin tree with a knife, and tells the one guy, "Watch this." But once they're in trouble and they're all trying to figure out the rope, and they're calling for help. And so the guy leaves it. And you know, as soon as he leaves, the camera's going to pan back and it's going to start spinning. You know it's coming, but even when it happens, you're like, that's good. That's effective.
That was good. That was good stuff. Yep.
So one of the other things that I guess I didn't mention at the beginning is because this is a like just a test for our Rangers. They're not going into they're not supposed to be going into real combat. They go in essentially with like toy guns, or not real rounds in their guns or anything. So they don't actually have like ammunition to fight this thing. Eventually they do find some along the way, particularly in that vehicle. But ultimately, right off the bat, you're going, oh, this is, of course, again, Predator formula. This guy is going to have to use his wits out here in nature and figure out, some new way, some alternate way to fight this enemy. That seems to be the superior technology, and he's going to have to, and of course, it drops early in the movie. This guy's an engineer, so you're like, he's going to come up with something crafty. But also, my brother and I, this is the type of movie where you can definitely chat during it. And
it's
so
going to be okay.
We're making these comments about, Predator and what's going to happen and call this, or, who's about to die in this scene. That's all the conversations you can have, which really actually make this movie more fun, I think, if you kind of play along with the obviousness of it. But my brother said something like, how's he going to stop it? And I said, at first I said, well, it's Predator formula. He's going to have to like rig a booby trap or something to do it. And then I said, and the sort of obvious foreshadowing at the beginning, he's going to have to, when he's trying to fix his brother's vehicle and he gives that law of thermodynamics, if energy has to go somewhere or whatever, he said he's going to use the law of thermodynamics and defeat the thing. And sure enough, that's what happens. He's at this construction site. It's got the little rock conveyor belt that drops rocks down, and he's going to try to pin it. And it's got these vents on the top. And he's like, if I can plug its vents, that might take care of it. And sure enough, we're well into spoiler territory. Sorry, I forgot to give a spoiler warning on this one. But he basically drives a bulldozer into this thing, pins it against the wall while it's trying to fight against it, drops the rocks on it. It does kind of cram up his vents, and it does like eventually kind of heat it up, melt it down, like make it crash out. Yeah. And then it just drops all of its little bombs. Again, Predator formula. What does Predator do when Predator knows it's beat? Blows itself up.
Oh, yeah.
And he runs and jumps and big explosion, and he's done it. He's beaten the one thing. And then I told my brother, I said, well, now he's going to go back to base and find out, oh, now the rest of them are coming. I just survived this big thing with one, and all the rest are going to be coming. And sure enough, that's what it is. I'm really curious if their thought was, we're definitely going to get a sequel out of this, or if it was just what they thought was a fun ending to the movie.
I'm really curious about that too, because once again, obviously Netflix knows, but before, if this was a theatrical release, if it does well, you greenlight a sequel. Now, I guess if it gets enough views on Netflix, I don't know, that's all annoying, whether or not we're going to get a sequel. I was going to bring this up. I did really like the idea of oh crap, we don't have actual bullets. That was a fun little twist on this thing, because that's something that, it doesn't improve on in Predator, because Predator's Predator and it's awesome. But in Predator, they've got all the guns and tools and weapons at their disposal. I really like this idea of oh crap, we just have these, whatever, empty shells or whatever. I actually wish they would have ran a little bit more with that and not even let them find the ammo and stuff in the truck. Because I was like, here's the nice little, just the nice little turn that this movie needs to separate it a little bit from some of these other movies. So I do want to give this, even though I was like, this movie's so generic, I do want to give it some credit. I thought that was a cool idea. Crap, we have to fight this thing and we don't even have real bullets or real ammo. That was good.
Yeah. The funniest part of the movie to me, the unintentionally funniest part of the movie to me, was when he makes it back to base and he's talking to his two superiors, Dennis Quaid and the guy from Mission Impossible. They're like, basically like, what's your secret? How'd you take one out? We're about to launch this whole global attack. Tell us what to do. And he tells them what he did and what the secret is. And I looked at my brother. I said, so the big secret is his most vulnerable spot is right on top of him, right at the most accessible part to our ammunition. And if you just hit that, you'll take it out.
Yeah.
What a concept, that's basically what he said.
Maybe there won't be a sequel because the sequel is just these things immediately get wiped out because they're pretty easy to kill, really, once you know.
Yeah, if all you have to do is have the ability to shoot on the top where they have vents, and if you knock out those vents, they can't.
You're good.
Yeah, they can't survive. Oh my gosh, that was
It
really
feels like
funny
the
to me.
same
It's
people
just
that designed like the Death Star and everything from Star Wars also designed these things because it's like the old, and this is just not like the Predator genre and stuff, but it's always like the thing, the creature, the base, the whatever has just a really easily accessible part of it that it's like just hit it once and this whole thing will be done for.
that's right. It's totally indestructible except for hitting it on the top of its head. Yeah,
It's totally indestructible except for the one spot that causes its total destruction.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
We
And
need to
then
bring the biggest sin that this movie commits, which is what a waste of our guy Jai Courtney coming off of Dangerous Animals.
yes, so Jai Courtney's, at the beginning of the movie, and my brother who watches movies but is not like us, even he's like, what is that guy from? He's like, know that guy. It's like Jai Courtney, and I said a couple things, and he's like, oh, he connected to at least one of them. And then, after he dies, yeah, my brother said the same thing, like, that's kind of a small part for a known guy like that. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it's, one of the oldest Hollywood tricks is put somebody who's bigger than you would expect in the part so that when they die, it feels significant.
Yeah.
And you're right. I would have liked to have seen him more in the movie, but especially because you see those two together and you're like, oh, that's a fun pairing as brothers. They're both kind of like just big dudes. They're both good in action movies. Like,
Yep. That would
yeah, it
have
would
been
have been
fun.
fun.
Yep. And especially now that, like I was never like a Jai Courtney defender, but it's like, let this guy, cook like you did in Dangerous Animals and you get a great result. So that was a bummer. I get it. I know the trick. I've seen it a million times. Like you said, put the big star in there. Oh my gosh, he got killed. But to me, this time I didn't, it didn't work in that manner. It just worked in like, oh man, I would have much rather seen Jai Courtney along for the ride.
Yeah, because, he would have been more charismatic than any of the other characters on this mission with Alan Richardson. So,
Yep. Exactly.
uh, can I tell you the most surprising thing to me getting ready for this podcast is looking up the Rotten Tomato score and seeing that this movie got a 70% from the critics.
Yeah.
That blows my mind. I would have bet anything this was like sub 40% from the
Same.
critics.
Same.
It just goes to show, like, I don't even know how to, like, what to expect from critics anymore.
I don't either, because I feel like we've done even this year alone, some better movies than this that were like they were those scores like in the 40s or the 30s. Like Scream 7's score was terrible, wasn't it? Like, and then here this gets
Yeah.
a 7%.
Scream 7 has a 31%. This got more than double what Scream 7 got.
That's crazy. That's nuts.
It's so crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't even know.
I
Yeah.
don't even.
So,
Who knows anymore?
uh, it's, it's just weird. Man, yeah. So I think the nice thing about this movie being a Netflix movie is that if I was trying to say whether I recommend this movie or not, for the average person, I would say probably not a movie to go pay to watch in theaters.
Hmm.
Even though like action movies are generally better in theaters, it's just not a high enough recommendation. The fact that it is just free to stream on Netflix, which most people have, I think it's easy to say, yeah, it's worth your time. Yeah, give it a watch. Yeah, if you're doing some chores, if you're folding laundry while you're doing it, you know what? It's fine because you're probably not going to miss anything.
That's what I was gonna say. This is a great folding laundry movie.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep. So that's our recommendation is watch this movie, do some stuff while you do it. Get some things done, and just when the action's on, you can just sort of focus in on the action, and then when they're a little more talky, you can just fold some more shirts.
yep, there you go. That should just be a new category. Like, is this a good folding laundry movie or not?
That we yeah, totally should be a category.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably about it. This is an episode that just feels like it should be under 30 minutes, and we're knocking on that door right now. So
Yeah, we don't need to stretch this one out too terribly far.
yeah. Uh, so I don't know. We'll see if I can get to the theater, and we can maybe do another episode on Undertone. But the good news is, Andy, next weekend we've got some fun new releases.
Yeah, next weekend's really interesting because we get Ready or Not 2 and Project Hail Mary, two movies I'm very much looking forward to.
I know. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to double feature it or if that's the type of thing where both those movies just deserve their own trip to the theater to like sit with and enjoy. So
I know. I think I may end up doing Project Hail Mary this coming weekend, IMAX, letting it sit for a day or two, and then catching Ready or Not 2, like maybe on a Sunday night or Monday or something. I don't know yet, but I will definitely be seeing them both, and I'm excited about both of them.
yes, we'll definitely be seeing both. We'll definitely be reviewing both, and so be on the lookout for those episodes. And yeah, in the meantime, Oscars are tonight, so we'll be curious to see what happens to that. I guess this episode will come out after that's happened, so we'll know who actually won. Go back and watch our most recent episode in which we give our end of the year reviews. That's not only one of my favorite episodes to do, but it's also one of the episodes that I put the most work into editing. So watch it.
Yeah.
If you're a listener, watch the episode. I try to do lots with the graphics and stuff.
And just know we tried our best to move that episode along quickly.
We did. Even though it's long, man, there's just so much to say and so much to talk about.
Yeah.
All right, Andy, thank you
that's the
so
edited down version.
yeah. Thank you so much for joining me again today, Andy, and thank you all you listening or watching.
Yeah.
And go to the movies this weekend. See Project Hail Mary. See Ready or Not 2, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you next time.